Hello dear friends. Today we will get acquainted with the diary of the Lieutenant of the Spanish Division Azul. Division Azul is the 250th Division of Spanish volunteers, regulars, Civil War veterans and members of the Falangist militia. It was drawn up according to the Spanish canons, 4 infantry regiments and 1 artillery. The strength of the division as of July 1941 was 18,693 people. Now let's move on to the diary itself. From the 27th to the 30th of November, 1941. I continue with my platoon to build a dugout. We are talking about a field building 8 meters long, 2 meters wide, with walls 2 meters high, with earthen benches and a ceiling made of logs. This is not the kind of dugout that has external positions connected to the trenches. In the morning I went out on a truck in the back. We work all day, and at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when it is already getting dark, we return home with a patrol guarding us from behind. Every morning the Russians have a habit of placing mines on the road, which we, including myself, pull out. Or they attack our small gun emplacements. My platoon has not yet been attacked, thanks to an incredible accident. Since sometimes they attack people who are in front or behind us. So, for example, when they hit Lieutenant Pastor, I was late to go to work because the patrol did not come. Hearing the shooting, I very quickly got into the truck and arrived at the exact time. When the attacking Russians, 80 or 100 Russians, were already withdrawing. A little later than this skirmish, we heard another, more distant. We ran there. But we came again when everything was over, and we only pursued the Russians for several kilometers. Pastor's platoon had heavy losses, as they had only 19 men left. The 1st of December, 1941. Yesterday the Russians on the road left leaflets in Spanish with the usual nonsense. Some leaflets are signed by 5 Spaniards who have come over to them. I currently sleep in a hideout I built for Ospar and the other guys who became my friends. They have a habit of giving me tobacco and sending me snacks that they have themselves. That evening I was forced to leave a sergeant and 14 soldiers in the dugout, who will later remain for protection. They have 2 light machine guns and a telephone. I wanted to stay with them, but the captain won't let me. Every day our losses are between 20 and 30 soldiers. From the 2nd to the 5th of December, 1941. All these days, the Russians have been attacking the morning patrol, located between 2 dugouts. On the 4th day at 4 o'clock in the morning, after aerial bombardment and terrible artillery fire, 2 battalions of Russians in white camouflage coats attacked our sector. Hearing artillery preparation, I left the shelter, and at that time the battle began. Since my platoon was in reserve, I reported this to the major and he ordered me to wait in the yard. At this time, I fired several bursts from my machine gun, and from the door of our house I saw 1 Russian fall. Some time later, Captain Alba gave me a sector of the front to the left of the road, where I placed machine guns and 1 squad. We fired intensely and saw several Russians fall. It was very cold and I had to fire a few rounds, put my hands in my pockets, and then shoot again. During the offensive, I was on my feet all the time. The next day we counted 24 dead Russians in our sector. This was done by mortars, artillery and we. According to characteristic signs, it was established that several Russians were killed by my machine gun. This is interesting, because yesterday in the dark in the snow to see the enemy, who was dressed in a white camouflage coat, is very difficult. During the attack, I ordered several rockets to be fired, causing great effect with their red and green colors. After finishing the attack, I received a compliment from Captain Alba and an order from the major to get out of cover and move until I arrived at an intermediate position. Which I do, taking with me the quartermaster from the Department of Administration, since I had very few people. I replaced the wounded Sergeant Toradu with another sergeant. Arriving at an intermediate position, I saw Garrett there. Took some of the wounded he had there and stayed to wait with no more news. In total, you killed several Russians, among them 1 major from whom you seized the offensive plan. On the 5th, the Russians attacked the Pozad, but they already have lost about 200 people and 4 flamethrowers. Our aviation is bombing the forest, but during the night we have 18 air raid alerts. Since the Soviet U-2 plane makes our life unbearable. 4 soldiers died from aviation. The Russians continue to bring manpower and tanks, our situation is becoming difficult. We have one artillery battery of 105mm guns. And they have 3 calibers, 124mm, and several batteries smaller than our caliber. We have no advantage either in weapons or in the number of soldiers, since we have 300 people in the settlement, and only 400 in the other section, including orderlies. December 6th and 7th, 1941. Our situation is becoming dire. Starting in the evening, as soon as it gets dark until dawn, 4 or 5 planes in succession bombard us with incendiary 50-kilogram time bombs. These are light aircraft, from them a very large number of deaths. In the morning, 6 planes appear and drop cargo. After lunch, I am in the dugout, they return again to the bombing. While fighter planes are firing from their machine guns from a low altitude. There are 3 dead in my platoon. Russian artillery intensifies its shelling. In the evening, when all the officers gather at the major's hideout, we receive an order from the colonel by telephone. He orders us to leave our positions. Exactly at 9 in the evening we depart, leaving all our belongings. Having taken the locks from the guns, I go ahead, clearing the road from mines and blowing up the road. At the moment of our retreat, aviation appears and sows panic in our ranks, but soon we restore order. The 2 fighter planes that the major asked to be sent here never showed up. The retreat is going well, although it is hard for me to see those few surviving soldiers. We are tired, undressed, suffering from cold and hunger. When we arrived at our previous positions, I reported to the captain. We were given coffee. When I was about to go to bed tired, I had to go with the captain, who was now appointed head of the sector, to inspect the positions of the front. A little later, the order to retreat came. I, with my platoon, go out to the other side of the river in order to ensure a withdrawal, occupying a front 1 kilometer long. I command the remnants of the 1st and 3rd platoons, which number 50 human rags, demoralized and out of ammunition. I have 5 machine guns, but I have only 8 belts for them. I settle down with my contact in one of the houses. December 9th, 1941. The Germans occupy the village, fearing that we will burn and leave the commissary warehouses. With them they have 2 tanks, planes, and equipment. We are terribly dirty, as we have not washed and changed our linen for a month. In the morning I am relieved by a company of the regimental reserve, 34 men, and I go to the positions, where I join my soldiers. All day I am under fire, until the captain arrives, who directs me to Borisovo, once again in order to occupy the front sector. It soon becomes clear that we have traveled in vain. I am shod in torn socks, the same boots and full of lice. From the 10th to the 20th of December, 1941. All these days we have been in the reserve of Major Roman's battalion. Our people are at home, but then we transfer them to shelters. I stay at home to sleep, the captain stays with me. We don't do anything at the beginning. For the last 3 days we have been working on rebuilding the shelters. This makes us very happy, because we do not howl. We enjoy some relative calm, as we occasionally have artillery skirmishes. Although, on the 2nd day at night, 3 fragments flew into the room. On the 18th, I was appointed liaison officer for the German Sapper Company. This is an excuse to stay for a few more days. December 21st, 1941. Ompany leaves, I leave with her. But having arrived in the village of Krudik, they show me the order of the general, according to which, having left the connection with the German company, I must return without property, only with a blanket to the village of Yudarnik. I have an assistant whom I sent to Novgorod for linen. On a motorcycle with a sidecar, I go to the village, Drummer, where I can eat thanks to the captain. There are a lot of bedbugs in the house where I sleep. December 22nd, 1941. In the morning I go to see the shelter that the Germans are making. I pass through an open area with fire. 3 shots are fired at me, although they aim poorly. My position is curious. I am in the village, Drummer, without property, without an assistant, without food, without anything. Not having other things besides a blanket. I eat only thanks to Captain Puente. I was told that in mid-January they would give me a passport in order to go to Spain to a military school. We'll see. It seems that this news has greatly influenced my state of mind, as I feel more cheerful. Sometimes I sing. I feel good, because I don't owe anything. I enjoy great freedom, since I am alone. If, by this time, the captain sends my assistant to me with things, we will have a good Christmas. A German junior lieutenant, a sapper, informed me that Brauchitsch had been replaced and that Hitler himself would now be in charge of operations. This is a bad signal. Well, we now have to see what happens next. Captain Puente. Many hours of fresh news. They say that 60,000 personal parcels have arrived from Spain. If this is true, then my parcels have arrived, Christmas gifts from Franco and also from the Germans. I'll have a wonderful Christmas. The military spirit of the division is now completely against the Germans. I see the explanation for this very clearly. The Spanish military is ignorant, despotic, conceited, and therefore inevitably collides with the German military, which is demanding, calm and cultured. Two characters are very different, this is ours and German. So we are facing a huge force. Our soldiers walk around dirty, without attention, losing everything they have, including weapons. Not disciplined, but divine. Selfish, rude, try to destroy more than build. German soldiers are clean, exemplary. Nobody cares about them either, but they don't lose anything. There is discipline and culture. In Spain, foreigners are treated well because they recognize their superiority. The famous Spanish politeness is the feeling of being mean. A German comrade shares his tobacco and bread with the rest, and a Spanish soldier steals bread from his comrade. The German people, proud of themselves, feel their superiority over others, and this is their shortcoming. Don't the Spaniards consider them the best people in the world? Great blindness prevents us from understanding the place of the Spanish Empire. It is and will be the Greek world until the level of culture rises, industry develops on a larger scale, the population of the nation increases, the army is reformed. The German rulers are stupid, but they are honest, and this is their secret. Spain is very educated, and since honesty is constantly decreasing, therefore we have the unfortunate result. The division from the very beginning operated with complete independence. Ours cared a lot about orders and their own splendor. These connections with the lack of culture and common understanding caused our disaster. Today the Spanish division is chaos. The formations are broken, there is no morale, no ammunition and lack of confidence in the commanders. They say about the purge of responsible persons. All why? It is true that the Spanish soldier is very brave, but this courage is very close to savagery. In addition, the bosses are full of their mediocrity. Is Doliana right when he writes to my soldier, I have completely lost faith in Spain. Our military is a feudal seniorism, and our civilians are not honest. If there is no leader who will unite the remnants of a real person, stupid, but very honest, then Spain will end its existence as a German colony. Our division arrived here in order to give glory to Spain, but it turned out the other way around, disappointing the whole world regarding our international capabilities. I am ashamed, although I console myself with the thought that not all Spaniards are so wild. On December 22nd, my assistant arrived from Novgorod and brought me something. Now I can wash and change clothes, this is what I needed. Never had such long hair. I keep doing nothing. December 23rd, 1941. Several German officers from the 126th Division have arrived on the matter of a shift, and I serve as their French interpreter in conversations with the major. One junior lieutenant remains, I'm taking him to our house. He has dinner with us, I give him a sofa and 2 blankets to sleep on. They spent Christmas night rather boringly, bypassing the new front line with the German and having dinner after that without any Christmas gifts. Luckily, several chickens were requisitioned, and Captain Puente had cognac. December 24th, 1941. My assistant arrived with some things, I can wash and change properly. I don't do anything. The Russians who attacked that night were driven back with losses. Only one company, numbering 80 people, remained in the forest between our lines. Since no food was brought to me, and there is no Christmas present either, Captain Puente and I dine with ordinary food. German officers are coming from the battalion who will replace us. I again serve as a translator in French. One junior lieutenant, a Protestant priest, again stayed overnight. In the evening, before dinner, I accompany him around our sector of the front. He inspects it. From the house I hear the cannonade, but without any consequences. December 25, 1941. All of yesterday and today, Russian artillery of all calibers is hit hard. At lunch, when we were still at the table, and these are 5 officers, a shell falls next to me. Breaks all glass, clock, wardrobe, breaks my blanket, window frame, table lamp, miraculously without causing anything to us, to any of the 5 people. In the evening, at the time when we moved to the shelter, they break up the Russian company, which remained in our positions. Almost all are captured, the rest are killed. They say that at 4 o'clock we will be relieved and the division will return to Spain. This is where the diary ends. The lieutenant was killed, and his personal diary was handed over to Soviet intelligence officers for translation and study. The name and surname of the owner could not be established. I want to note that the Azul division stayed in the Soviet Union for a long time. Only on October 20, 1943, due to strong foreign policy pressure, the Spanish government decided to withdraw this division from the front and disband the formation. As can be seen from the diary, this division had obvious problems with discipline. But surprisingly, they turned out to be quite combat-ready formation. For example, from February 10 to April 2, 1943, the division withstood 2 blows from the vastly superior forces of the Soviet 55th Army and, having suffered huge losses, was able to hold its positions. The Soviet divisions numbered approximately 44,000 men and 2 tank regiments. They were unable to break through the defenses of the Spaniards, who numbered 4,500 people. Soviet troops suffered heavy losses in this area. The loss of the Spaniards, only for a day of fighting, amounted to more than 2,000 people. This combination of high combat capability and slovenliness was noted after the battle in Krasny Bor by the statement of General Halder. If you see a German soldier unshaven, with his tunic unbuttoned and drunk, do not rush to arrest him, most likely, this is a Spanish hero. That's all for today. Leave your opinion in the comments. If you liked the video, then support it with a like, and the channel by subscribing. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you don't miss new videos. Bye everyone, see you soon.